it's Emily, Kidlit Book Love again. I'm going to show you these amazing vintage children's books that I scored just yesterday at a local antique store. And I was walking into this antique store to look for a bookcase, and there's this whole little cubby where it said all vintage books $5, and I said that can't be right, because I started looking through and I saw some very valuable books that I've seen on eBay for $20, $30, $40, and so of course I went totally crazy. And for you can get a lot of books for $50 for $5 each. So I'm going to show you what I bought. This is Mr. Popper's Penguins, and I've never seen this in a book. Of course, it is a book, and it was written, this one, in 1938. It's actually a detailed chapter book. It wasn't in very bad shape, and I've never seen the movie. I believe there's a movie, and or read the book. So it's by Richard and Florence Atwater. So I'm really excited about this. I got this book, Friendly Fairies by Guerrell, the author of the Raggedy Ann books. And this one is a first, let me see, was it a first printing or was that the other one? No, that was a different one. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, this one was a little bit later. It was from 1960, but really cute. Great illustrations in it. I have some of the other Raggedy Ann books, so this was a first for me for this one. I bought Philomena by Kate Sarady, and nice illustrations. Beautiful. In fact, I do choose my vintage books by the quality, the cover, and the illustrations. This was from 1955, and it's a full novel, but also has beautiful drawings in it as well. And I was looking for books that I don't have or anything that I thought was a good deal. So I have Ring of Roses, a nursery rhyme picture book by Leslie Brooke. And this one was a steal because I've seen it for over $50 on eBay. Ring of Roses, a nursery rhyme picture book by London Frederick Ware Warren and Company. And it was copywritten far before the 40s. So really, I don't have the exact date. I do my research. But it has color plates and drawings. The color illustrations have no backing on them. And this, I'm really excited. It has Humpty Dumpty as well. Big, bold letters. This was a really great steal. I have a paperback of the Black Stallion, but this was a beautiful hardback version. And I couldn't resist it, because I always prefer hardback versions for my vintage books with illustrations and the paperback. So I really, really liked this version. When I was a kid, the only books I really remember reading were the horse books, the Misty of Chincoteague, the Marguerite Henry books, Black Beauty. I'm sure there were others. Little House on the Prairie, of course, the Laura Ingalls Wilder books. I don't remember reading anything else, although I'm sure I did. But those are the ones that stick out. And I remember the Black Stallion was definitely one of them. This is a beautiful book by Random House from 1969, and this book was written in 1941 originally. Okay, from the My Book House series. These are vintage books. These were from the 20s with reprints done all the way through the 40s. This one was from the Tower Window, and there was a whole series of these hardbacks with each one with a different theme. Yeah, copyright 1920, 21, 25, 28, and then again in 56. This particular one was from 1958, so it's not as early as some of them. So it was in decent condition though, and it has a lot of these sort of fantasy stories, sort of King Arthur kind of knights stories, and illustrations. So I'm excited about my first My Book House. I had seen the whole set on eBay for a lot of money, and I saw this and $5. Okay, I'm excited about this book. Beautiful $5. Pollyanna, a beautiful illustrated purple book. I mean, this is a gorgeous book by Judy Mastrangelo, story by Eleanor Porter. Gorgeous Pollyanna version. Here's the inside. And it is such a beautiful book. It even has a beautiful drawing inside of the Haley Mills from the original Pollyanna. It has a drawing and a letter introduction from her, because she did the movie Pollyanna when she was a child, of course. Beautiful illustrations, color paintings. This is by the Unicorn Publishing House of New Jersey. Additional books in the series, and list of illustrations, cast of characters. Let me just show you a few pages. There's a lot of text in this book to fit it into a picture book. If you can see how the text is sort of crammed here, but I was so excited about this book, and it was printed, this one, and I love the letter by Haley Mills. That's just lovely. It's so lovely. This one was 1988, so it was like in brand new condition. So I have a copy of the real Mother Goose, and there have been many different versions of Mother Goose since their original creation, and this one sticks very close to the originals. Beautiful book, gorgeous color. This one was 1944. So this book was in excellent condition. I mean, excellent. I cannot believe she was selling these books for $5. Excellent condition, the real Mother Goose. So I'm actually including some Mother Goose in my master's thesis and my sort of dissertation project on children's literature. And this was a packet for only $4, over 20 pages, without the complete book, of a beautiful, large-bound 1918 fairy tales, poems, and storybooks. And the pages are just crisp. They're crisp. They're colorful. It's not a complete book, but there's over 20 pages. There's like little poems, The Hobby Horse, The Mulberry Bush, Young Ladies to Sell. They're gorgeous. Absolutely. I might frame some of them and put them into posters. And the only downside is I can't find out what the actual title was of this book. So it's going to take some research for that. This was super fun. This cost me a little bit more, about $15, but from the same store. August 1925, the People's Home Journal, a magazine, home journal magazine with a focus on the child and some children's stories in this particular edition. It's just amazing to me. And it was 15 cents for a magazine. But there's advertisements, there are some children's stories, authors at the time, writers that weren't publishing books. Kind of like in Little Women, the more modern movie with Winona Ryder, where she's writing stories to have them put into magazines and journals when she's working as a nanny. It's kind of like that. Of course, this was quite a bit later. But, there's stories by writers in here. There's some color and some black and white ads for cars at the time. There are some children's products. There's a couple of recipes. It's really amazing. I mean, it's interesting. These magazines really read like newspapers back then. But I just thought it was in fairly good condition, and I love old periodicals. Lastly, this is another $5 book, The Sleeping Beauty and Other Fairy Tales, from the Old French Stories version, retold. So, this book has a very vintagey French paintings in it as the pictures. This book was this is a reprint of the 1910 version published by Hodder and Stoughton in New York, and this one was 1947. So there's Cinderella is in here. There's some Grimms in here. Blackbeard, which is one of the ones that's cut out of a lot of the more modern children's Grimm's fairy tales because it's so dark. It has regular drawings and color illustration. but they're more like museum type paintings. So this was a really neat book. So overall, I spent $200 in the store, but I also purchased a poster, and I purchased these 2 Raggedy Ann dolls here. These were score jackpot, the original Raggedy Ann and Andy 31.5-inch dolls by the Knickerbocker Company, number 11 and 12. This was the 11th one ever made, the 12th one ever made out of a couple hundred each, from 1973, mint in the box with no box damage, which is impossible to find. The whole set I got for $125. The lady that owned it said she had it in her garage for like, I don't know, 30 years. These were a year before I was born. I was born in 1974. And she said she got them for her daughter in the 70s, and her daughter never really liked them or wanted them, and she had them in the box, stored them ever since. So they're basically like brand new. The clothes are perfect. They have absolute, she had a little, that's from the antique store, the tag. Actually, no, this is the original Knickerbocker tag. They're like, you know, if you go on eBay and look up one of these dolls, you'll never find it with the box. If you do, it'll be all ripped up. And just one of them could be $100 to $200. So, actually, he's not going to stay, so I'm going to hold him. So anyway, this was my adventure at the antique store locally. And if you have antique stores in your area, just Google antique stores, vintage bookstores. Actually just antique stores where they have furniture and old things. There's a store nearby me called Vintage Revival that has furniture, but I find some books in there. I find some dolls in there. So just check them all out and go Google them and have a whole day at looking around and see if you can find some great children's books. You never know what kind of bargain you'll find. Thanks for watching.